Okay, but she's standing in front of
Okay, we are ready when you are. She can scooch up a little, move a little, Jenny. You got it. Good.
Okay, we're ready.
Ready when you are.
Okay, so our issue is talking about the caste system, which is a societal structure that is based off separating people based on their skin color. So basically, even though the caste system has been abolished now, there's still some effects that come after it that that the people of India still have to do.
Yes.
Our question: how does India's caste system affect the citizens' daily lives? Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so this is my slide, discrimination. Okay, so I start off with colorism, which is the foundation of discrimination in India. They discriminate based on color. And the levels of the caste system is based on a person's skin. This encourages people to invest a lot of money into skin bleaching products, especially in the film industry known as Bollywood, which is like famous actors or singers. They invest a lot. From the information I gathered from quartzindia.com, I created 2 graphs to further emphasize my point. Okay, so 46% of skin bleaching investment comes from India and 54% comes from other countries. And the money invested into bleaching cream each year rises by 18% each year, which is why it's just an uprising scale.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about economic imbalance. So the people of India, they have limited resources because the people in the lower caste, they have like the lower jobs because they're in the lower class. So like they do the jobs that the people in the higher class for the upper class doesn't want to do. So like they work in sewers and stuff like that. And the lower caste can't afford the products in the country because they receive minimum wage. So example, like the markets farming, the bank sales are going down. So it causes the price of the products to rise, which the lower class can't afford, which will lead to demand destruction. And the Indians want nutritious food, affordable clothing, housing, health, and education.
Okay. Due to India's economic imbalance, many lower class people or lower class people on the caste system have poor living conditions, and one of them, many of the sewage exposure, lack of water, and open defecation. The sewage exposure in India is the leading polluter of water sources in India, which also causes many diseases, including measles and diarrhea, and also is a leading factor to children death. 350,000 Indian children annually. The lack of water. Marshlands around the lack of water is contributed by the government's lack of planning and the government corruption and industrial and human waste. The water scarcity is expected to rise as Indians' population is expected to rise as well. And open defecation, many Indians openly defecate, mostly in rural areas, and many just don't feel comfortable or have a lack of toilets. And it also goes into the sewage exposure. Many get deaths, and the open exposure to the feces are everywhere, and the defecation leads to rashes and infections and stuff like that, which is like a lack of sanitation that India has.
So the conclusion, we kind of included our thesis. So the caste system affects the people of India's lives by discrimination, economic imbalance, and poor living conditions of the lower class. And the question we asked was, what changes can be made? What can we do to help resolve this issue? So one thing we can do is like, we can't do, but one thing that can be done is like reduce inequality. So raise the taxes of the wealthy people. So it'll increase like the products of the public resources, and eliminate the caste system because the people that live like under the poverty line, they receive minimum wage, which they have like no access to housing, and they suffer diseases.
Also, when we do to help resolve this issue, there are many NGOs in India that try to help resolve the lower class issues like water issue and stuff. You can help donate their contributions and stuff would really help. The government is trying to make investments into like fixing the pipelines and fixing the sewage issues in India as well.
Okay, yeah. Also, I want to go back to my slide for a second. Okay, so those are also two issues that I forgot to talk about, which is family reputation. And that means basically that from the time a person is born, they, with their family has already been like put into the family cast that they've already been put into, basically determines how they live for the rest of their lives. And lastly, we have unfair healthcare, which like stands from economic imbalance. And so like people who can afford better healthcare are like usually the people that are higher up in the caste, and people who can't afford it are usually lower in the caste.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, give them a hand.
I was like,
All right, you actually were shorter than you needed to be. Your minimum should have been 6 minutes, and you were at 5 minutes,
Sorry.
28 seconds.
Oh, I could have extended mine.
So you can go a little bit longer on your presentations.
I was trying to wrap it
So
up,
I'll let you
I'm
know that
sorry.
now. Yep, good for
Okay.
being speedy like that. I do have some questions for you. I've made some notes here about how fast you went.
Extended mine if I knew that was the case.
Let's talk about the questions here. What I want to talk here first is, let's see.
This was called. I know, but like the pizza, it's like it's they did
All right, this first question here, I'm going to ask this one for, let me ask this for Kennedy. How did your own views about the problem or issue change as a result of the evidence found by other team members?
Okay, so initially I tried not to be very biased about the issue because I had like no experience in the issue, but then I learned that like if I was in their shoes, like the people that are on the lower side of the caste system, that like changed my point of view to kind of be sympathetic, and like from my own research and then with their research also kind of added into that, because like people who are low on the class system typically endure the problems that Ayana talked about and that Jamisha talked about.
Could you be specific? Example?
Like
Something
Ayana
like-
talked about like poor living, diseases and poor living conditions. Those are typically people that are like on the lower levels of the caste. And Jamisha talked about how people who are like usually richer or have a higher income don't get taxed as much as people in the lower class, which I find kind of unfair. So that's how they all tie into my point of view.
Okay, thank you. This one will be, let me make this be a Jamie Shalon. How about, what aspect of the transition from reports to a presentation like this did you find the most difficult?
So the reports, because you don't know, like, I didn't know which like was true or was not, so it was kind of like hard like putting it together. But some of the reports, like the one that I used for this one for my reference, it was from this man, I believe, and he's like an insider into like India. So he reports and he's like actually there. He like sees it and he reports it and write it like on this. I think it was on BBC News. Yeah. So I used that as my reference. And
Okay.
he actually had people like from India speaking and saying some stuff. That's
Okay,
why
so
I
you
get
thought
it. Yeah.
your references were good. I'm going to repeat the question because I think I didn't do a good job of explaining the question. But thank you for that answer. The question is, what aspect of the transition from writing your report,
Oh.
your paper, from your paper to a presentation like this did you find difficult?
Oh. Well, I didn't find it really difficult because I talked about this in my paper. So from the perspective of, like I was saying, like the people from India, I used like the quotes from them to figure out the issues of like the economics and stuff like that.
Okay.
What they wasn't receiving.
Okay, thanks. And then my last one will be for Ayana. And the one that I'm looking for Ayana is, let me ask this one. What part of your outcome, your final conclusion, suggests the need for possible further research?
Basically, I feel like there's a lack of solutions for my issues. That I feel like there's a lack of solutions that can help resolve the problems. Mostly it can be based off of help funding and stuff, but I basically think it's mostly the government problems. Like they need to, it's more of a governmental issue that they need to help fix within their own like society and stuff. I feel like, so I don't think really as much outer help could really help as much as the government should, like, if that makes sense.
Okay. All right, that's the 3 questions for the 3 people. Give them a hand. Woo! All right, that.